Looking at the urban architectures of Hanoi today, one can easily see the marks of successive historical periods. From the mossy roofs of the Old Quarter to the elegant villas of the French Quarter, and the grids of identical collective housings built during the post-independent era. These collective housings is associated with the factories, whose products was behind many Hanoians' dreams of a peaceful and happy life. Hanoi Precast Concrete Factories, also known as Chem concrete factories in popular parlance. Concrete is a construction material formed by mixing aggregate, cement, and water. Introduced by the French during the colonial period, reinforced concrete revolutionized Vietnam's construction industry. Traditionally, Vietnamese people use natural materials such as wood, brick, and stone masonry for their buildings. Reinforced concrete, with its superior properties, completely changed the face of Vietnam's built environment and of its cities in particular. By the early 20th century, vast multi-story concrete buildings were erected in Hanoi, which dwarfed the small traditional constructions and redefined the cityscapes entirely. Reinforced concrete continued to play a key role in Vietnam's independence in 1954, a period during which the governments of the Democratic Republic of Vietnam laid the foundations for the development of a socialist economy. Their plans were ambitious. They call for the huge volumes of constructions to be built over a short time, a task that the old methods of buildings with bricks and cast-in-place concrete was ill-suited to meet. These problems were solved by prefabrications with precast concrete components. This solution was aligned with the economic development vision of the time, which prioritized the development of heavy industries. 4 industrial zones were created around Hanoi, and new factories producing construction materials were also set up to support them, forming a belt around the city. Among them was a concrete workshop built next to Chem village, with a planned capacity of 10,000 cubic meters per year, produced with Soviet machinery. It was strategically sited on the southern banks of the Red River, allowing convenient transport by waterway of the concrete it produced to different regions. More importantly, the Chem village is located westward of Hanoi, near areas which the governments had earmarked for the city's future expansion, which would require lots of concrete, like the west of Westlake area or the Vĩnh Yên Vĩnh Phúc province. Hanoi Precast Concrete Factories was officially inaugurated on May 6, 1961, with the support from Chinese experts. It was the first facilities designed and built by the Vietnamese. The factory's productions quickly contribute to important infrastructures project in northern Vietnam. It made concrete panels for the Uông Bí thermal power plant, precast utility poles for interregional electrical transmission lines, precast water supply and drainage channels for irrigation systems, and defense infrastructures to protect the nations and its ordinary people. The Chem factories made possible the industrializations and electrifications of the socialist North. The factory's strategic importance earned a visit from President Ho Chi Minh in 1962. It also made it a target during a 1967 U.S. Air Force attack. As war escalated, construction activities in the north came to a near halt. Only after the Paris Agreement in 1972 did they gradually resume. Chem concrete factories contribute to the post-war reconstruction effort in important ways. From the 1970s, the factory's product contribute to another key typologies of Vietnamese capital, collective housing compounds. The factories produce over 70 types of prefabricated concrete components, which were assembled to form 3 to 5-story buildings. In the centrally planned economy, demand was extremely high, due to the monopoly of the state, which allocated housing to its officials and workers as part of the socialist welfare regime. To live in collective housings was to experience a new lifestyle for Vietnamese people, Only after 1974, the first collective housing compounds were built in Hanoi by the old method, utilizing wood, bricks, and cast-in-place concrete. As the demand for housing spiked in Hanoi, Vietnamese construction industry leaned more heavily on prefabrication approach for housing construction during that period. Some of its first partially prefabricated housing structure were built with individual components according to North Korean or Cuban technology. Only after the Chem concrete factories came into the scene, all fabricated components were produced by industrial methods. Based on some basic components with standard dimensions, such as walls, stair, floor panels, roof panels, units of different sizes and shapes were made. This approach is known as modularization. All these components were assembled on site with cranes. Building collective housings with large components require a high degrees in coordination across the building industry, from architects, builders, construction equipment to transportation infrastructures. This remained a big obstacle for the industry in Vietnam then, as it was not developed yet and still relied heavily on manual human resources at the time. However, more precast concrete factories were built in the 70s to advance the industrializations of building process. By the mid-80s, nearly 30 new residential developments had been built, providing more than 30,000 square meters of housing for Hanoians, with 70% were built using fully prefabricated construction method. Prefabricated collective housing compounds were not only built in Hanoi, but also in Vinh, Hải Phòng, Nam Định. The architectural characters of the cities were profoundly transformed, with nearly uniform box-shaped housing standing side by side. Collective housings convey a bold message that's of a bright future for a newly socialist country, a new order, a new way of living. It also showcased to the citizens the return on the state's investment in modernization of the construction industry as a pledge to the path of modernization and progress. Identical housing also alludes to the unity and the equalities of the residents. They work together in state institutions, live together in collective housing, they share the same identity, and seemingly the same destiny. The subsidized economy has ended. The state also no longer provides social housing for its citizens, and today, Chem Concrete Factories has become a big company operating in all sectors of construction industry. What remains is the assembled collective housing around Hanoi, modified, run down, and awaiting their eventual demolitions. But these old buildings are still occupied by tens of thousands of Hanoians. For them, these buildings have become an essential part of the collective memories, an inseparable part of Hanoi's history, in a time where the products of Chem Concrete Factories laid the foundation for the whole country and shaped the lives of each citizen. Bore a desire, as the old idiom goes, peacefully settle, happily work.